about the big question. How do we separate ourselves in a crowded market like today? Because here's the thing. All the other salespeople that haven't separated themselves, they've probably screwed your next customer over. So how do you get out of that boat and how do you separate yourself by miles? To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. Here we go. So before we get going, I gotta tell y'all, you know where we've always said you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around most. I was in the middle of a story backstage, and DJ goes, "It's 9:00. We got to go live." So you see, DJ, it's addictive, isn't it? Eh? That whole time thing, it's addictive.
What's funny is you said it before we went to. So right when we start talking, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch the clock just in case.
Yeah. Well, you see, when I get talking, I lose track of time. Yeah, everybody. Today we've got Trewy Griggs. And Trey is a sales consultant. He's ambassador for Lean Solutions. If y'all haven't heard of Lean Solutions, we're going to get into that. And he's a podcaster. You've probably, if you've been on LinkedIn for even more than a day, you've seen Trey on LinkedIn. He's all over the place. And you know what, Trey? DJ and I are super excited to dive in here today because I think the strategy and the knowledge you're going to bring to the table is immense. But before we do that, for all y'all listening, we're talking backstage about an event Trey was just at that I'd like you to share with us what it is, what it was about, kind of how it started, and how people can get registered for next year. Because I'll tell you one thing, I'm going to be there next year. I didn't even know about it this year.
Definitely.
And it sounds like a blast just to meet and greet and talk to some really amazing people. So I'll give you the stage, Trey. Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. It's so exciting to be here with you guys. I've watched you guys as well. So getting the invite was an honor. So I appreciate that. Yeah, so the event that we put on every year, it's called our annual mastermind event and Super Bowl party. It's always over Super Bowl weekend. So it's really easy to remember to put on your calendars. We always have it in Las Vegas. This year we had it at the brand new Resorts World Hotel and Casino, which was fabulous. And next year we'll have it again. I believe it's going to be February 10 through 12. And we'll have information that comes out ahead of time to register for the event. It's an incredible event. It's primarily geared for our customers, our key prospects, and some of our key partners. And so that's who typically gets the invite to it. It's a somewhat exclusive event, which is pretty cool. So if you want to go, start checking out Lean Solutions and see what they have to offer, because not only will you get to go to the event, but the solutions they provide will benefit your business tremendously, especially in this climate, which we can talk about in a little bit. But the event itself was absolutely fantastic. People flew in on Friday. We had this awesome welcome reception and networking event at the Ale Lounge on 66. It's on the 66th floor of the Resorts World, which in Vegas is pretty tall. Most of the buildings are not that tall.
Yeah.
And it has a 360-degree view, an awesome bar, cool vibe, great music. It was a lot of fun. And then on Saturday morning, we had our mastermind event. We had some really big hitters this year. Cassandra Gaines, who you guys might know from the Mad Gaines show.
Oh, yeah.
She had Hannah McClellan from Amazon, Mark Hong from C.H. Robinson, Augustin Hariag from Fluence Energy, a shipper, and Justin Hall from 8VC. So an incredible panel that they talked about things in the industry, different trends going on, and what they're doing to overcome a lot of the challenges right now. Mm-hmm. We had several of our Colombian operations team members come up from Colombia to talk about how our customers and prospects can best leverage Lean in 2022 and beyond. So that was awesome to hear from them. And then we were treated with Joe Theismann, Super Bowl champion and former league MVP, who gave the keynote at that event, which was incredible. He was so good with his time. I got to tell a quick story about that. He stayed afterwards and did a quick meet and greet. We were able to take pictures with everybody who wanted to take a picture. He had his Super Bowl ring and his MVP ring on. He had both of them in the house. And then one of our guests, Robert Bain, a really good friend of mine who works with Metaphora out of Chicago. He's on LinkedIn as well a little bit. Anyways, he tells Joe, "Hey, my mom is a huge fan of yours." And Joe goes, "Let's call her." And so we had this moment where they FaceTimed Robert's mom, and Robert said, "Hey, Mom, I got somebody I'm at this event. This guy was speaking. You're a big fan of him, and he wanted to say hi to you." And so then he turns the camera around, and his mom just lost it. It was such a cool moment.
God. I got goosebumps.
Oh my God! Yeah, I'm like, oh my God!
It was like the Taylor Swift moment. Like just I'm like if she was a fan before, now she's like a fan till she dies.
Oh yeah,
that was a really cool moment. And then after that event, it's all party, it's all fun. So we pay for our guests to go and pick one of the activities in the afternoon on Saturday afternoon. One was called Laps of Luxury, where they could go to a track and ride around in Ferraris and whatnot at like 160 miles an hour. Another one was a dune buggy adventure where they could actually drive dune buggies out in the desert of Las Vegas. One of our guys, Jake Friedman, one of our new customer success reps, actually flipped one, which cost us a little extra, but great story. And then
you got to plan for that. You got to plan for that.
We know it's going to happen. At least one. We've done it twice, and we've had 2 buggies flip, so we know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then we also have another called shooting adventures or shooting experience, which is military style weapons, where people can go and shoot huge, M80s and AKs and all that kind of stuff. So really fun.
I heard that's a really big thing in the Vegas area.
It is, yeah,
like
and,
a really big thing where you can literally fire like M60s and stuff, like the big kind of.
Exactly. You go if you go 15 minutes outside of Vegas, and it's like desert with mountains. I mean, it's perfect for shooting. So that was great.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we had our annual awards dinner that night. We gave out some customer awards. We had a great dinner, a wonderful buffet dinner, and we had University of Minnesota head football coach PJ Fleck, who was our keynote speaker, and that guy is intense. I mean, you'll never forget that guy if you hear him speak. I mean, it was tremendous. People were locked. I mean, think about this. This is we're just having fun. We're having a great dinner, and people were locked in, about ready to run through a wall after that guy spoke. I mean, it was like a halftime speech.
Awesome.
It was so good. And then, of course, we let everybody.
Speaking of halftime, that was a halftime
that
show.
Was the best halftime show I've ever. Those are our boys, right? Those are
exactly. That's our child. That's our childhood teenage years.
Childhood, yeah. Like my kids were like, "Oh my god, that was the best halftime show ever," and I'm like, guys, this is what and that was the beauty of Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop, Kendrick Lamar. I mean all even Mary J. Blige.
Yep.
Is like my son wasn't too familiar with Mary J. Blige, and I explained to him she was one of the first female big rap stars that went under Dre's label. But it was like you had so many generations that know that music and love that music. I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, I was like glued to the
at its
TV.
Finest at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and like Snoop, just the man don't age. Like he was.
He looked more fun.
Yeah. Like you notice Dre's voice was a bit off from when he was younger, right? Sure. Like I don't know if you guys heard that, but from like if you go back to Ain't Nothing But a G Thing younger, now it could have also been the synthesizer and the editing process, but his voice, but Snoop sounds exactly like he did on Doggy Style. So like exactly like and Eminem sounds exactly like he did on Curtain Call and everything else. Like, and even when 50 Cent came in, I was like, what? It was awesome.
It was
awesome.
It was so good.
Sorry to digress on that, but as soon as you said halftime, I'm like, sure.
No, it's okay. That was perfect. And so just
he's
back to the
triggered. I should have warned you. No, just kidding.
No, that's all right. So after that, we try to build in time for people to go have fun in Vegas. So everything we do ends by 9:00. That way they've got a good 4, 5, 6 hours to go do whatever they want in Vegas.
Nice.
And then on Sunday morning, we have our annual Mastermind Golf Tournament out at TPC Las Vegas. And we had 48 players this year. We sponsor 2 guys out on the PGA Tour. One is Camilo Villegas and the other is Jared Wolf. Jared was able to come into town for the event. He put on a clinic in the morning, which, everybody just loves seeing pros hit balls and do cool stuff with the ball. So he put on a clinic in the morning. Then we went and played 18 holes, and he actually goes out and plays with every group. So every group is to see him play at least 1 hole, which is, you just don't get that like a PGA Tour pro. And if you don't follow Jared Wolf, he's on the PGA Tour. He's a rookie this year. He's playing this week in the Corn Ferry event. Next week he'll be in the Honda Classic. Yeah, so follow him for sure. And then after that, then we have our Super Bowl watch party, which is in this big conference room. We got TVs up everywhere. We got food everywhere. People obviously have bet on the game, prop bets, over-unders and point spread and all that kind of stuff. So throughout the game, everybody's just going wild when something happens that, hits one of their prop bets, which is really cool. And that's it. I mean, it's just, it's a little education and a lot of fun and a memorable event, truly a can't miss event that we want our customers to truly enjoy.
And that's actually an experience. Like you're giving your customers an experience above and beyond what any company would.
Exactly.
Well, excuse me.
We got some comments. You want to throw the commenents in? Some of them went with.
Sorry. We got Jeff. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning,
Snoop.
Lisa.
Good morning, everybody.
Jeff says, "Hey, Trey." We've got Mawin folks.
Morning.
Hey, Jeff. What's up, man?
Morning. Yeah. Kyle.
And I like Brian's comments.
Brian in the house, a little woof woof. And then Lisa was saying that's awesome. And then childhood, and that was the reference to the halftime.
Lisa, it was awesome, and you should check out Lean and see if you can get there next year. It was incredible, absolutely.
Incredible. It was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. So let's get to it. How does a salesperson in today's market, in your vision, separate themselves from the crowd, Trey?
I think it oddly enough, I think it goes back to some tried and true methods from the good old days. I'll talk about those in just a minute. First of all, I think if a salesperson is not leveraging social media right now, wherever their customer lives, then they're missing out huge. So if you're selling to let's say carriers like truckers, right? If you're selling to truckers, where do truckers live? They live on Facebook. They live on TikTok, believe it or not. TikTok's major demographic right now is 40 to 55-year-olds, and it's usually people who are on the road who want to be entertained. Those are truckers. They're using TikTok like crazy, watching TikTok like crazy. Instagram now has Reels because of TikTok, and they're on that as well. So if you're a salesman that's selling to truckers and you're not on those platforms, not only engaging with different forms of content, but creating your own forms of content, you're truly missing out. I would recommend to any sales leader that should be a part of a sales team's cadence, is engaging on social media, which, 10 years ago, people said, I don't want my guys on social media. They're wasting time. And now I would say they're missing out if they're not. If they're not spending, like an hour or two every day in the morning, engaging on social media, putting out some content, whether that's content that the company has created and it's, more official, or whether it's their own thoughts that the company would be okay with, creating some guidelines, creating a kind of a sandbox and letting them play within that sandbox of creating their own content, because that creates a couple of things. First of all, it shows them as an expert in their industry, and everybody wants to work with an expert. Secondly, and you guys know this as well, is that when people see you and hear you on a regular basis, they start to make an emotional connection with you as if they know you and they trust you, even if they've never met you before. So then when they do talk to you for the first time, there's already this feeling of knowing you and trusting you that most salespeople have to overcome on their own. But if you're using social media, you overcome that before you ever have your first phone call with somebody that you're prospecting with. So first of all, I think social media has to be used better by salespeople, and sales leaders have to embrace it. This is where your customers are living every day. This is where they're going for information. This is where they're going for entertainment. Why not be there? Why not have a presence there, right? And use your
and
sales
research.
guys.
And research.
Exactly. And use your sales guys, because some people say, well, we've got a business account on LinkedIn, or we've got a business account on Instagram. The reach is significantly farther if your team of 10 sales guys are doing this as opposed to just your business account. It's a team effort. It's a combination effort. So I would encourage sales leaders to have their team and participate and engage on social media on a regular basis. Number one. Number two, I think it goes back to the simple things like writing, handwritten notes, or in this day, digital notes. So for example, if you have a great call with somebody, just send an email that says, thank you for the opportunity. It was great. I'll be following up. Like just a considerate form of communication. Or if it is, whatever it might be, if you get a chance to go and visit with a customer in person, you come home, write them a note and mail it to them, because those things actually stand out. 10, 15, 20 years ago, maybe more people were doing that, so it didn't stand out. But nobody does that anymore because of the digital age. So doing things like that actually makes you stand out from the crowd. So just being considerate and thoughtful in your communication. I love the people who make videos that are personalized and either send them in LinkedIn or send them with an email, because it means that you took the time. This isn't a generic email I just made once and I'm just selling it over and over. I actually took the time to record a message with your name in it, thinking about you and something about our conversation, and that will stand out. So those things I think are just a couple of tips that salespeople can do that are really going to make them stand out in this time of more of the digital age, where people tend to forget about stuff like that.
I've also, for quite a while now with students, I've said, read articles, do your education in the morning, and post those articles with your own thoughts about the article. Yes. And post it and give your true. Like if you don't believe the article, or you don't, you question what's in it, question it. Because I see customers, and for years now, this is not just like COVID and they started, for years now, customers, if we as salespeople don't think our prospects Google us before a meeting, I think we're missing a really big key here.
100%.
We've spoken to many customers on this show, and most of them say LinkedIn is your resume. Like I go to LinkedIn and I look at you. So all your posts and everything. So they see that, you said it so perfectly, you're the expert in that field by doing this.
That's right.
You brought up some good points. I remember, so this was probably right on the edge of the internet. We didn't have the social media that level to the level that we had now. But like the old school, real good sales guys, they knew, okay, write a book, write a blog. That's the way to like become the professional in that space. Those were the keys, and that's basically the foundation you're telling it.
And it's so much easier to do it.
Yeah, more of a digital foundation.
Yeah,
I wrote a book years ago, and I used to give the book as my business card.
That's right.
And it was the late Bob Proctor that taught me that. God bless his soul. He's like, Dan, you want to stand above the rest, and you want to be an expert? He goes, think about it. You go to a real estate agent, and one real estate agent asks you 4 or 5 questions, and another real estate agent asks you the same 4 or 5 questions, but says, here's my book. It's all about how to sell your home. Read the book. If there's any questions in it, by all means, ask me. He goes, who are you going to go with? I go, I'm going to go with the book every time.
And I guarantee that people might not even crack that book open, but it's what that book says.
Exactly.
It's what that book says.
Exactly. It positions you as the expert.
Exactly.
Good friend of mine, Marcus Ogden. He said,
Marcus.
Marcus.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. He spoke last year at the Mastermind event. Those are the
did he? Okay. Yeah. He's freaking awesome.
Oh, nice.
Like, Marcus is the man. I mean,
shout out to Marcus Ogden, everybody.
Yeah, shout out Marcus.
100%. Going from like NFL multimillionaire to being a custodian when he says, Dan, like the turning point was when rotten milk spilled all over me. And he goes, and I sat down on the curb and went like, I was playing in the NFL.
What am I doing?
A multi-millionaire. Like, what the fuck am I doing with myself here? Like, just the humbleness inside that man is just unreal. And, and it's funny because he goes, Dan, like, you're going out for these events and people are saying, hey, can you talk at this event? Can you talk at that event? And it's like, okay, bring 50 copies of your book for the, and it's like that book. It's a business card and it means a lot to people. And it's just the status of the book, I guess, like,
and how easy is it to crack it open today? Like compared to in the past, it's so easy to publish a book. I'm actually going to be working on that's one of my goals here in the next 2 years is to get my book out. I've always I love to write. First of all, I write blogs. I do that already, but I've kind of tried to figure out what my message is going to be. Once you know your message, don't wait any longer. You need to write it. And that's where I'm at right now in my life. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to Ryan Muhammad, who said, I find notes snail mail is hard with everyone working from home. Definitely going to use it when we get back to regular life. I'd say send it now. Send it to the office. Yeah. Let everybody at the office see that you sent a letter. They'll make sure it gets to the right person. Yeah. Go ahead and send that now. Great and then everybody in the office will see, wow, we got a letter from Ryan Muhammad. Who is that guy? And let's get it to the right person. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to wait just because people work from home. They'll get it. No. And it will actually have a bigger impact because other people in the office will actually see it.
Yeah. And, so I would write Bob Berg, a dear friend of mine, Bob Berg, actually taught me the whole letter thing. And what he did is he said, Dan, go out to a printer and get cards cut the exact size of the envelope. And he does it and he has all his books on it and everything. And I went and copied that. And what I used to do, because at the beginning of my career, I was 3 weeks on the road and kind of 1 week in the office. My business partner would take care of all the operations. I was sales. And I would actually bring a stack of them with me. And before I left that state or city, I would actually write the note and mail it because I knew when I got home. So, you're traveling for a week, you get home, then it's a week or two there. It's like 2.5 weeks after. Right. It's not quite as next step. Like the traction might have depleted a bit because.
And you might forget some of those details. Life. Like when you spend time with somebody, you remember their kid's name or what sport they play.
100%. A lot of the times I sat in my car after the meeting and wrote it just so it was written. And I might not have mailed it till the nighttime, but right after my meeting, I'd write the note where all the fresh kind of conversations are fresh in my head. And I'd write the note and I'd put it and I'd mail it. A lot of the times I'd go back and before the end of my trip, I'd go back to the company and just drop it on the reception's desk.
Yep. And think about this. What's the number one reason that people would say that they don't do that? I guarantee most people would say they don't have time, right? But think about the value that 5 minutes creates, the value that creates. Like you don't have time.
I think the second reason would be my handwriting sucks.
But you know what? That's true. But
you know what, though, Trey, I'm so glad you brought up the handwritten thing too. So shout out to my wife if she's watching. She'll back me up on this. But she's like, "Why are you writing thank you in a smiley face? That's so lame." I'm like, "People will." So we have a resale business, and every receipt I write thank you in a smiley face.
That's awesome.
Handwritten. Thank you for your business, smiley face. And she's like, why are you doing that? I'm like, I'm telling you, people will remember. Watch. People will remember.
If you do happen to have bad handwriting like Dan, don't worry about it.
No, I got good handwriting.
It's even better.
I got actually, I
thought you said you had bad
this
handwriting.
might sound horrible, but I've had so many people say I write like a girl. Which means it's very neat, ladies. Don't get me wrong. Whoa.
That's a
Easy.
compliment. I'm telling
That's
you.
a compliment. Okay. But yeah,
I love Nigel. Hey, you got to throw Nigel's thing up there.
Yeah,
that is
great comment, Nigel. That's genius. I know I would open it.
Yeah, listen, everybody watching right now, please send somebody an email that says chocolate. I want to see how well it works.
And you know what? Speaking of email subject line, so I'll share with y'all. The subject line that I'm using now that is like working gangbusters is criteria for working together. And that's it. That's the subject line. And so, and because I've got Outreach and HubSpot, I can see who opens the emails. I'm a 98% open rate, not a 98% reply rate, but 98% of the people open the email.
Most people get like 20 to 30%.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not a reply rate. I wish I had a 98% reply rate.
But the fact that they open it, that's the first step, that you're doing the open, because
John, I am a southpaw.
Yeah,
John. So John, here's the thing. Everybody's born right-handed. Only the exceptional overcome it. Okay. So
that's right. That's right. My daughter's left-handed, and I'm pretty sure my wife was supposed to be left-handed, but I think her mom kept putting the pin in her right hand because her hand was terrible.
You know what? It's funny you say that, Jay. I did that with my son for golf. We only had left-handed clubs, and I'm like, well, I'm not getting you clubs until I know you like golf. So I gave him my clubs, and now he's right-handed and he shoots my left-handed. He's actually like, and it's funny how that can be, right? Whereas you don't know any better, so you get trained a certain way. Yep. Like in hockey, I'm left-handed and I shoot the opposite way I should shoot in hockey. Like normally left-handed people shoot left-handed in hockey. I shoot right-handed.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And it's weird because when I was growing up, I had my brother's leftover stuff. So that was kind of the hand of the stick that I used. And it's funny now because everybody's like, you're left-handed? And I go, yeah. And they go, why you play hockey like that? And I go, what do you mean? That's kind of like what I normally do. And they go, no. You should be. And I go the other way. And I'm like, forget about it. It's like writing with if you're left-handed, you write with your right hand, or you're right-handed, you write with your left-handed. It just feels like insanely.
So Dan, just another odd coincidence that we parallels we cross. My son and my daughter are both right-handed. I'm lefty as well. They both golf and hockey, anything swinging, baseball, lefty. But they're righties, natural righties and everything.
Hey, shout out to my boy Hayden Allred, by the way. From
shout out Hayden.
Hayden's awesome, and I don't know if you guys know this, but he's a freestyle hip hop artist. Like he could totally be back in the '90s and the early 2000s with Eminem. We actually had a rap battle, not verbally, but actually on LinkedIn. There's a thread that we went back and forth. It was really fun. So shout out to Hayden, my boy.
Shout out, big time. So so here we are. We you're separating yourself, you're creating content. Love that you said that. When I interviewed Nicole Glenn a while back, we did a whole 30-day. If you lost everything and you woke up tomorrow and you didn't have your contacts, your customer base, your connections, nothing, you just had a phone and a laptop, what would you do? And the first thing she said is I'd figure out my niche and I'd create content. Yep. Content truly is, Ryan said it earlier. He says,
shout out
my
to
number
Ryan,
one location.
He's the master of sending intro videos with LinkedIn messages and stuff. So he's amazing at that.
Yeah, but when you look at it, it's his number one. I'll put it up again. He says social media is my number one prospecting channel. Connect as humans. Yeah. And I think that's it. And I love the fact that you understand, Trey, the demographics of each platform, because that's very important. I'll tell you right now. I see my kids on TikTok. I know Gary Vee talks about TikTok being an older, but it's interesting because I know a lot of truck drivers, and when you said it, it's kind of like, you ever had a conversation in the past and then something happens, somebody says something, and you connect all the dots of those conversations. Every one of them send me TikTok videos. I'm like, dude, I'm not on TikTok. And they're like, oh, you got to see this. It's so funny. It's hilarious. You got to see this, and even my buddy sends me sledding videos of people like trying to ride up their ramps and they take their sled right off the back of their truck and, just all this kind of stuff. So you're right. It's that entertainment kind of thing, right?
Yeah. And I just met an influencer on TikTok. Her name is Candace. She's with Fits Possible, and she's into fitness for drivers. And TikTok is the number one platform because that's where they're living. That's where they're, getting their content. But you're right. I think there's three things. I would go back to what you said earlier. So it's not only finding out what your niche is, it's not only creating content, but it's also building the network. Because if you have great content and no network, it doesn't matter. So you got to find out where those people are and you got to connect with them. And here's my tip on connecting with people. So on LinkedIn in particular, I mean, the other social media platforms are a little different, but on LinkedIn in particular, when you go to connect with somebody, my encouragement to you is to not write anything, to send a connection request with no note, because the moment you put a note on it, it looks salesy. Right. Yes. Then when they connect with you, then I always write them a note, and you can copy and paste this and just change the name, but I have the same note every time. What I write is this. I would say, hey, Dan, thanks for connecting. Hope all is well. Trey, 636-279-0125. I've acknowledged them. I've told them I hope everything is well. I haven't asked for anything, and I gave my phone number just in case they wanted to reach out. But it's a non-threatening way to start a conversation, start some communication. And then I got to tell you, most of the times people write back, hey, great to connect with you as well. And then a lot of times that leads to a conversation about something else. Hey, I noticed you're in Buffalo. You a Bills fan? Sorry about that. I'm a Chiefs fan, maybe next year. And then it starts this organic, actual relationship that eventually will turn into hey, what do you do? What's your thing? I see that you're over at this place. What are your responsibilities? What do you do? I've never met anybody who does what you do before. And it creates this natural conversation that can flow into business opportunities, but the relationship starts first.
Mm-hmm. I do something very similar. I do 0 note on the invite. And then my follow-up is actually a video. So once they accept, then I take my phone number.
It's funny, Trey.
Hey, thanks very much for coming. I do 2 things. So one of them is it's always a video, the second piece. Yeah. If it's a salesperson, I give them something of incredible value. So I'll give them like my reference letter mastery course or something. I'll just say like, listen, it's just click on the link below. It's yours, free. Just my gift to you to say thank you for connecting.
That is valuable. Oh, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Good.
Yeah.
Now I heard you brought up the Buffalo, Kansas City, and I see it. That was a bet, right? Did you win?
It was a bet with my boy Nate Cross. He's with Freight 360. Him and Ben Kowalski. They got a great podcast for helping freight brokers become better freight brokers. But yeah, he's a good friend of mine, and we made a bet that whichever team won, they got to send their quarterback's jersey to the other team. They had to wear it on the next podcast. And the funny thing is that I kind of joked around about this, but we're kind of cheap, right? Like we don't spend a lot of money. Jersey like $125, and back when I got my jersey with Mahomes, we didn't have much money. So my wife actually found a youth extra large Mahomes jersey at Kohl's, and I'm a little guy, so she bought it to see if it fit, and it does. So that's what I wear. So that's the jersey I actually sent to him, with a youth extra large. He had a blast. It was so funny. And he's a little bit bigger than me, so it was a little tight on him, I was great. I was happy about that.
He got it at Baby Gap. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Hey, listen, when you got to give something to the winner, you don't always make them look perfect. You know what I'm saying? You got to put a little bit. I actually saw the podcast where you had like the Buffalo Bills hat on. You had the scarf. Man, you must have lost like 40 pounds in that interview, because dude, you were wearing a lot of clothes, man. Yeah, that game was awesome.
Crazy.
Like the last 3.5 minutes of that game was,
my goodness.
The last, and it really came down to whoever won the coin toss at the end was going to win the game.
That's right. And right? I can't ever remember a football game in particular. I've felt this way in basketball. I've never felt in football in the last 2 minutes the feeling of winning the game twice and losing the game twice. Like I legitimately felt
that. Welcome to being a Cleveland Browns fan. I feel like
exactly. Except we won. Except we won at the end. So
Yeah, exactly. Maggie says Grant Cardone on Undercover Billionaire found that network gained their trust, built social media marketing without having anything. You're absolutely right. Yep. It is. Hayden says, call me a freestyling hip hop artist with a vast exaggeration. I'm glad the tale is stretched so far.
He's being humble.
We gotta hear some freestyle. We gotta have you on doing some
freestyle. He's being humble. He's legit. He's being humble. He's good.
And Jeff says, I told Dan to stop podcasting while driving. We've been friends ever since. It's all about the right approach. And it is. So Jeff, actually, I'll share the story again. We might've shared it a couple of weeks ago. So I was always creating content on the road because I said, okay, both of and pretty much everyone watching, is, how do I put things into my day where it's easy? Because if it's not easy and it can't fit in my schedule, eventually it will go away. So I took this from Russell Brunson when he says, I knew I had a 20-minute car ride to work every morning, so I created a podcast in my car. So I went a little step further because I'm a video guy. I love video, hence the reason we record this podcast live and then post it.
Yeah.
So I mounted a mount on my window, and I would record myself as I was driving, and I would literally teach strategy as I was driving. And I was in a snowstorm one day, and like literally behind me, cars are spinning out. I'm like, blah, 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 into the camera. And I'm driving, and Jeff gets a hold of me and he says, dude, I love your content. He goes, I got to tell you, like, I'm watching cars spin out behind you. There's a massive snowstorm. You're driving and you can hear the from the snow underneath the car when you're trying to change lanes. He goes, oh my God. I don't think you're sending the right message of being cautious. And it was funny because I stopped and I went, holy shit, he's right. Like what? And I'm in full blown teaching mode while I'm driving, right? Like I'm not looking in mirrors or anything, boys. I'm just blah 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 blah. And it was a key moment. We've been friends ever since. So it is about
touch on that real quick. So don't drive in podcasts, but I would say this: wherever you are, when an idea comes in your brain that's good content, record it. I've recorded in airports. I've recorded on the like I travel a lot. I've recorded in the lobby of hotels, in the hotel room. I mean, anywhere. Like if you come up with a thought or learn something that you're like, somebody else could benefit from this. Because that's the one thing is a lot of people think two things: one, I don't have time, and two, I don't have anything to say. Well, they do. Like you do have something to say. You know, you learn things that come into your head just because, you know, like you figured it out. Don't assume everybody else has figured that thing out too. Just because you learn something, don't think everybody else knows that. And even if they do, being reinforced doesn't hurt. So no matter where you are, get your phone out, do a selfie video, buy a selfie stick. You know, I bought one for $10 on Amazon that works great, whatever, and record that content, 30, 60, 90 seconds, something good, start putting it out there. And the more you do that, the more you're going to, I'll tell you when the moment I knew it worked for me. All right. So in 2019, I started putting content out, and I decided that I was just going to be consistent. And that's another key thing. Just be consistent in putting content out, whether it's the same day or 3 times a week or whatever it might be. Just be consistent trying to put content out. So I was putting content out, and I did this kind of, I did something, I can't remember what it was. I think I had like a stocking cap on or something else. I did something. I didn't even remember what it was, but I went to Freight Waves 2019 in Chicago, and I had somebody that came up to me and said, "Oh, you're the guy that did that thing with the hat." And I didn't know this person. I had no idea who this person was. I was like, oh, this is working. People are watching, people are listening, you know, and you can really become an expert. You can build a brand, you can build an influence just by being consistent. And so no matter where you are, don't do it on the road like us. So it's not good. But no matter where you are, if something comes in your head that's really good, then share it. You know, share it. Don't
people are going to do it on the road, right, Trey?
Share it.
Yeah.
I do record on the road. I have you know, one of those phone holders up there, you know, on the dashboard, and occasionally I'm driving, I will record, but I'm not looking at it. And this is the other thing too, it doesn't have to be perfectly produced. It doesn't have to be seamless.
I think that's what makes it better most of the time, though. Especially that's what makes people remember you in the beginning.
Yeah, that's right. So when I'm driving down the road and I'm recording, which I don't do much, but occasionally something will come up when I'm driving on the road, is I just drive and I just talk. And occasionally I'll glance at the phone just to make it look personal, because I want it to look like I'm looking right at them. And by the way, when you're looking at a phone, look at the dot, don't look at the screen. But anyways, I try to make it somewhat personal. But I'm just driving and I'm just talking. And I think it creates this authenticity that people appreciate and enjoy. So just be authentic. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, wherever you're at, when a great thought comes in your head, post it, see what happens, you know, post it, see what feedback you get. Yeah. That's my advice.
You know, it's, I love what you're saying there, Trey, because everybody has something to say that's different than somebody else. You know, you look at the big, you know, influencer of the world. You know, you take Gary Vee, for example. He'll be the first one to tell you, I talk about like 3 or 4 things. I just talk about it in 20 different ways until you understand it. You know, you look at even at Tony Robbins' material, like Tony talks about maybe 4 or 5 things. Right. You know, big thing is physiology and how you carry yourself, and then it create, you know, and so, but all of it is centered around what you do, like what your individual superpower is. And listen, if people can have 180,000 people following them to creating a knitting knot, like I'm sorry, people are going to connect with you. And you know, here's the big thing that I've realized, and in you know, DJ and I creating this show and going, you know, 2 days a week, then 3 days a week, then saying, okay, we're going to make the jump to 5 days a week, every day at 9 a.m. That consistency is paying off, because people that are in tune with what we talk about on the show and the themes for every day that we have are going to tune in, you know, and it's funny you say when you realized it was working. I'm in the process of calling customers, because every Tuesday we bring a customer into the show to kind of give us a background. Every single customer I speak to is going like, Dan, like, holy crap, I listen to the show every day. And I'm like, oh, because, you typically only see the comments.
What an easy
You
sales
don't,
call. Good night.
Exactly. You don't see that. So, I mean, I think it's awesome. DJ, pull us out of
All
here
right.
with an awesome
hey, throw up
quote,
Gary's
brother.
comment again. Good morning, Gary. Hey, never apologize. You're out there doing major work for us. So
Yeah,
thank you
one
for
load
what
at
you
a
do,
time.
Gary.
That's right. And you know what? Just to Mark's point here, imposter
point.
syndrome.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. And I've always found if you just speak from your heart, you can't be an imposter. If you try and give strategy on stuff you have no idea about, or you try and talk about things you don't really know about, that's where it comes from. But it's the, if you just speak from your heart and say, I don't know about you guys, but for me, when this happened, this is the way I thought, this is what I did, this is the success I had. I think you're going to be okay. And it's just because people will see that authenticity, because that's another thing, right, Trey? Authenticity is
absolutely. And don't fool yourself in thinking that there's too much content out there already. Well, there's already people talking about this. Yeah, but you're not talking about it. And as you said, everybody has their own voice, their own bent on it, their own perspective that is unique and powerful. So don't kid yourself. Just because other people are talking about sales and marketing or whatever it might be, throw your thoughts in the ring. Don't be afraid to do that. There's not too much content out there. We need more content. We need more thoughts, because it's collaboration. The more that people pitch in with their thoughts, the more we all learn, improve, and grow and get better.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
You want to throw up Hayden's comment while we kind of read through that?
Yeah, Hayden comment. I'm going to have to read it because it's long.
It's
when
a
it comes
book.
to content
It's the start of
creation,
his book.
forget worrying about the views, likes, or engagements. It's more impactful to learn how to get uncomfortable and putting yourself out there, even if it flops. At the very best, you had the balls to step into the cage. Hold on.
Not
many people are willing to do that. That affirmation will flow over into other areas of your life that empower you to be bold. Success isn't spontaneous combustion. You have to set yourself on fire.
Nice.
You,
Very well said, Hayden.
Don't let him fool you. He's a lyricist. He's good.
Yes, exactly.
He's a wordsmith. He's a wordsmith.
He just gave us a little bit of the skill right there.
Hayden, we're going to Hayden. I'm going to be connecting with you because we're going to get the wordsmith Hayden on a session real soon here. Yes. All right, DJ, what's out of here, brother?
Thank you again, Trey. Thank you for joining us. A shout out to Trey, guys. Follow him. He puts out good stuff. And Hayden, clearly can't wait to have you on. Watch us, like and subscribe down below. Sales Chatter Live YouTube channel. We have Dan's profile and mine for LinkedIn on there as well. Again, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 9:30, all things sales, just making your life better. You want to start your day right? Start it with us. 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know I always forget that. So again, you West Coast people, thank you. Shout out Lisa. I've heard you're over there in the West Coast. You rock. And take us out with this one. So it's by Jim Rome. And I thought it was fitting, and our conversation went just as. Success is 20% skills, 80% strategy. You might know how to read, but more importantly, what's your plan to read?
I like it.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.